you know what? I forgot to ask you. Now I have to ask.
Uh-oh, you going live.
That's okay. It's live, but they're going to hear me ask you this. What is the way that I can also share this live?
Oh, how can you also share? You have a watch party.
All right. So I'm going to go to, do I have to do it my phone or what? How do I do
You
this?
know what? That is a good question. That's
Okay.
a good. If you go to if you're a member of QGirl Coaching and Fitness, all you have to do is hit start. I'm looking at it right now. So watch with friends or with the group. So you just started like that.
Okay. Don't let me hold this up because I don't know how to work the internet. Don't.
Okay. So hello. You are live with Elethia from Alexander Q Health and Wellness, and this is On the Mat with Q.
Yes,
And I would like to introduce my guest, Rodney.
Hello,
Rodney, what's up?
everybody. Hello,
Rodney.
friends and family of QGirl. Elethia,
Yes.
thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Rodney, we go back.
Yes. We go
10,
way
11
Yes.
years.
Yes. Working,
Back
learning how to help folks.
I know. And our passion was always to serve, you know, in the greatest capacity. I mean, and that at that time, it was the high school and the college students that we were serving. And we said we're going to trade war stories with y'all later on. But
we got a ton of them. We could sit here and talk about some of those crazy, because they used to put us on the road and so traveling and going to places and being there really early and then going to the trainings and conferences. There's a bunch of memories, man. We got to tell you guys about that one.
Exactly, right? So, but today, and you reached out to me about this topic, and I'm so happy that you did, because many of us as parents are finding ourselves now having to become homeschool teachers.
All of a sudden.
And the teachers are still there. I don't want to take anything away from our educators.
Right.
But also as parents, we have to engage even more with our kids in their education. Right. And we can't take a back seat. So today's topic was laptop school, the experience of distance learning during COVID-19. And you wanted to take both a technical approach and a systematic approach to this topic. So explain those two different perspectives in terms of learning.
So this whole thing, I just want to start off before we even jump down into the nitty-gritty of stuff.
Yes.
I wanted to acknowledge for all of the moms and uncles and grandmothers and aunts and aunties and friends of the family that have been trying to figure out, how in the world do I Common Core this math? How do I log into a Google Classroom or a Zoom this or whatever account or platform we're using? I don't have enough mobile phones or smartphones or laptops or tablets and everything that goes with that, right? Is we don't have enough space in our house, or we got too much space, or my Wi-Fi's acting up, or it's running into my data. All of those things can feel like a lot. And so for any of us that feels that, I wanted to say, you're not alone.
Yes.
Because we feel it. We feel it. This was just as unexpected for you as it is for us. I'm sure it's unexpected for the teachers that's been involved, just trying to scramble and get it together, even though some have done a pretty good job. And then some of us probably got some stories that we could trade that's like, yeah, there's been some balls that's been dropped. And we can understand that. And one feeling, Elethia, that I wanted to acknowledge, right, and just kind of speak truth to power that may get overlooked, is the experience of the students, of our kids, of our teenagers, of our little ones. Because it's frustrating for us balancing work, no work, bills, money, that, and then still trying to teach you, sit you down, make sure your stuff is good, etc., that we may not fully even appreciate that they living through something called COVID-19 as well. And they're texting, talking, and not knowing. And depending on how old they are, this may be, you know, when you're really young and things crazy happen, but when they happen when you're young enough, you don't have anything to compare it to, so it becomes your normal. There's going to be a whole group of young folks that an experience like this is normal. It's just, And that's something, you know, we just wanted to just take a moment before we start jumping into strategies and tips and hows and all of that kind of stuff, to acknowledge the emotional experience of this, the human component, and just to share that if you are feeling it, if I'm feeling it, if any of us are feeling it, we're not alone. It's something that we share together.
Wow, that's so good. And that's from the heart. And not sure how many young people are going to hear that. I hope parents do acknowledge that, just take you up on your word. Yeah. But I know my daughter's right here and she hears that. Yeah. And I don't know if I even took that perspective on it. And so I thank you so much for saying that. I'm sure a lot of parents do. They really appreciate that. So absolutely. Thanks, man. Yeah, it is. We got to look after our kids. We have to. Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, was there a situation that became like the normal when I was a kid? You know, I know 9/11 happened. I was in my early 20s. I'm thinking the biggest one for me was, and probably because it was so long ago, I don't even remember it. It just shaped and changed my life. Yeah. Certain things were put into place before I was born, and I learned how to live through it. I think mine was the 80s, the drug crisis. Yeah. And I grew up right there, 30 Buchanan Place, right in Burning Bronx. And I think that stepping over crack vials every day and seeing somebody get a nickel or dime bag right in front of me and being like, excuse me, I got to go around this corner to school. Right. Cutting through backyards and all that, that was a normal for me. And it's, you tend to get so caught in your own experiences that you don't recognize the fact that other people are
having this whole thing going on at the same time. Yeah. It's funny, Elethia, the first time this whole concept of somebody's new normal or kind of always been normal, the first time that was ever brought to my attention is when somebody told me that there's some 8, 9, 10-year-olds, this was a couple years ago, that the only president they've ever known was an African-American man named Barack Obama. That's their concept of American president. Yeah. He was in there for 8 years. That's a decade, so forth. And there's a whole cadre of people in our country that's what a president was at the time, and I'm not even getting into that sort of thing. I want to talk about anything that's too political, but I'm just saying, appreciating that for some folks living through something, it recalibrates, hopefully, our approach as parents, as helpers, as family, as folks, as givers. So just kind of speaking truth to that experience and kind of letting it get some air, just in case.
I love it. I love it. Put it out there. I love how you said, let me get some air. Wow. Wow. All right. Well, I am. And were you done with your thought?
Yes. Yes, okay. I was going to transition into some of the beautiful aspects about this whole thing, Okay. Okay. So I know for me, I have started having these morning 9 a.m. talks with my kiddos. I've never done that before. Every day. We don't do it on the weekends, but literally just a time to be present and converse and listen and share and teach. And it makes me think about back in the day, maybe the 50s. I wasn't around, 1950s, or families eating dinner together and coming in, everybody asking, how's your day? I didn't grow up with that, right? You talk about the crack vials and all that stuff. I came out of a very challenged upbringing, man. Single parent, but that's many of our stories. Dad in and out of our lives, that's many of our stories. Substance abuse was in my home as a child when I was growing up. Domestic violence was in my home as a child. So I had a very atypical upbringing as it relates to traditional, American society. But as it relates to many of our experiences, there's a whole bunch of folks that grew up connected to stuff like that. So to be where I am now and to have the wherewithal, the desire, and the time now, due to this whole situation, to sit down, to clean up the dishes together, to talk, to converse, to check in. I didn't know. Had you told me in January that I would be doing this every day at 9 o'clock, I would be like, what in the world will change?
Yeah.
COVID-19.
Yeah.
COVID-19 has changed. And so there's been some things. And I also wanted to, maybe for you too, Elethia, like, have you heard stories about people that because of this have experienced something positive, or people giving more? Are they, like, I would love to hear it. I like this kind of stuff. Just kind of my mojo going.
You know what? I haven't heard of it in terms of other parents. I have heard of it in terms of like husbands and wives. And
nice.
I was on with Coach Fonda the other day, and just the checking in and the self-awareness. And it's not just for people who were out in the schools and out and about and running, but even those of us who worked from home.
Yeah.
And we just, the busyness that we tend to get ourselves raptured or caught up into, busyness, and really not getting much accomplished. I think that this has given me a different perspective into how I work.
Yeah.
And I think other people too, in terms of productivity, and I don't want to say making the most of it, as if this would benefit some vacation, but I am taking that approach now. Like, how can I make the most of it in terms of, because I always look at it coming from a gift from God.
Yes.
And he's giving me this time to sit still, and he's giving me this time with my daughter, and he's giving me this opportunity to check in more with my mom and my dad and my family. Yeah. So if you want to talk about differences, changing perspectives, not really from the parental side, but I probably should check in more with my girlfriends.
She be all right. How old is she? Right. She fine. She all right. She all right. One of the things that I've seen, so you're very much, one of the things that I admire about you, Elethia, and I'm going to tell everybody, because I've told you this 100 times. So y'all, one of the things I tell Elethia all the time is that her focus and motivation for others around fitness is amazing. I love it. I admire it. I appreciate it. And one of the things kind of in that fitness vein, around my neighborhood, I see so many folks outside walking. So I live in Maryland, right? I live in Baltimore. And I know every state has their own kind of guidelines about what sheltering in place or quarantine or social distancing looks like for their state. For us in Maryland, you can go outside to exercise. You can still utilize public parks. You still can't congregate in groups of more than 10. And even in those groups, they still prefer that everybody has a 6 feet social distancing sort of thing. And so within those things, and then for us, you can of course go to get food. You can go and bring food to other people, especially those that are not as mobile, right? That don't have the capability to just up and go. So you can take food to other people, and you can transport people to medical appointments and all that kind of stuff yourself or others. Well, in my neighborhood, I wish I could call her by name, but I don't want to embarrass her. But there's this one young lady in particular, and she's not so young, but I'm gonna call her a young lady anyway. But she's out there. And I saw her, so I live in the city, we got blocks, right? I saw her go around our big old block. I swear it was like 12 to 14 times.
Wow.
She was walking for the better part of an hour, if not more. Or it was a long time, and she had to at least do like 12 laps.
Right.
And they weren't fast laps. I don't even think she broke a sweat. I've been living in that house for 13 years. I've never seen her walk anywhere near where I live. So people are moving. People are getting blood circulating. They're doing things that they're figuring out different ways to connect, even in this period. So I just think that's one of the positives that's been popping up as well.
Yes. So, all right, I want to bring it back to, school. And the reason why is because something you said that was very interesting earlier in this call and last week. So I called you last week and you were like, well, we got to get it done before 9 o'clock because that's when school starts. And so in terms of even how you work, because you're also an entrepreneur,
right?
What are those school hours like? How was it setting it and really getting yourself on schedule? Because they're like, look, we do this every day.
So, full transparency, everybody. First of all, my first thing is I went crazy. Like, oh my gosh, right? Oh my goodness. So that's the first thing. And once I finished losing it, I was able to kind of just think about this. And so what we did in my home is we set up a schedule. So we had blocks. And my kids are in 3 different schools. So in each of the schools approached it slightly differently. So we was like, we got these suggestions from the school, this amount of work that needs to be done in a house that we need to keep in order. How do we do that, right? And so we set up from 9 a.m. to 11:30. So we had that little talk in the beginning that I was talking about. And then after, and we don't really put a time limit on that. So it might be 12 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on how it goes. And after then, we divvy up tablets, phones, and laptops to the best of our ability, because there's a lot of folks in my house, a lot of folks in school. We divvy those things up. We go find some corner of the house as much as we can. We got the little cheap little headphones so people don't disturb folks when they're on their little calls or listen to their videos or stuff for class. And we try to stick to a schedule. We have, speaking of fitness, 11:30, that's fitness time every day. So we got all kind of activities, dance that happens, boxing that happens. I have a heavy bag at the house. We got all kind of stuff that happens, right? One of my kids is really into soccer. And so I'm embarrassed to say this, but I have become the parent of a kid that likes to use, Elethia, you remember hacky sacks? Do you remember that? A hacky, do you even know what that is?
No, I don't.
A hacky sack is a little bean bag, right? And it is not the most urban Philly, Baltimore thing to stand in a circle of your peers and play keep the hacky sack up. It's not very urban. I have a kid.
Don't sound it.
I have a kid that's into hacky sacks, right? But he's into playing hacky sack because he's a soccer kid, which is also not the most urban sport to play, but that's fine, whatever. So he's into soccer. So to keep his skills and the dribbling and the ball and the bouncing on the foot, and that's something that you can do in the house. Some days when it's a really nice day, they go out front, they go out in the back, they do that stuff. So that's 11:30 to 12:30. 12:30 we do lunch. About 1:15 is back for another work block. We do that work block till about 2:30, 3 o'clock. 3 to 5 we have free time.
Okay.
Most of the time these days, in my household, that looks like everybody on Fortnite.
Okay.
Everybody's just playing that game called
Fortnite. What is Fortnite? Like, I'm not the only one.
You're the only one. You are the only one.
What is Fortnite?
Fortnite is a game that everybody can play at the same time.
Okay.
It looks like every other game that's ever come out where you're behind the guy that's walking and shooting with a little gun. So you can't see his face, but you are him, so to speak. And because you can play it online with hundreds of people in the games these days, even the phones, I can talk to you, hear you, type to you while we play. It's its own social environment. It has really, really easy ways to get power ups and all of that stuff. So it's as addictive as Candy Crush.
Okay.
Are you a Candy Crusher? Are you?
Oh yeah. No, I'm not a Candy Crusher. No, I don't crush
Okay. Candy Crush is really addictive because it rewards the simplest of things. And so, not to make this too technical, right? But any sort of reward or accomplishment in the human brain is the same thing, right? So anything that I do that is pleasing to me or I think is good releases dopamine, right? So if that's getting a sticker on my forehead when I'm in the first grade, if that's a young lady telling me that I'm handsome, if it doesn't matter what it is, anything that I do that is a that invokes a sense of pleasure chemically in the brain. So you have the emotional feeling that's intangible.
Right.
The complement to that physically in the brain is the release of dopamine. And Candy Crush and Fortnite and other games that are very addictive reward so frequently for the simplest of things, and then make it very clear that if you do this little thing, you do this other little thing, you'll get it. So yeah, Fortnite. So
okay, all right.
And then we have a big time every day. We have a time. So I have 2 daughters. One of my daughters is a chef. And when I say she's a chef, She's made Thanksgiving dinner every year since she was 11 years old. She is a chef. So she makes dinner every day at 5, 6:30. We putting food on the table. We kind of just have this chillax kind of eating thing between 6:30, 8 o'clock, whatever. No rush, no real 6:30, 8 o'clock, 8:15. Clean up. Folks start taking baths and showers. Everybody hopefully in the bed by 9 o'clock. And we have a sense of a routine. That helps a lot. So I would encourage any of us that are really trying to get a handle on this COVID experience. What is the routine for your family? What time do the kids wake up? What time do you wake up? Right? What time do we need to wake up? And what's the flex in it? Do we have to get up at 6:30?
Yeah.
Do we have to wait till 11:30? Could we get up a little bit earlier? Right? Because that's some of us is not the struggle of get up early. Some of it is we sleeping too long. Like we kind of they go by. So
I agree.
Works,
I agree. I do agree. And so that brings me to my next question, because I'll speak personally, you know, some of the parameters that you have to put in place and some things you say, we're not going to do that. I know we're out of school, but we're not going to do that. One of mine is that we're not going to do schoolwork in bed.
Nice.
We're not going to do schoolwork in bed. I don't bring my laptop to bed. We don't do schoolwork in bed. Get up, take a shower, brush your teeth, get at the table, and do your schoolwork. And I get up. I'm still it's like a few feet away. I gotta go out there. Yes, do. Yeah.
And what that does is that conditions the mind, right? It conditions the brain. So again, I'm going to try to stay away out of the technical stuff too much, but let me bring it to a real example. You say what?
I said go there.
Go there? So we're creatures of habit, right? So everybody know about the Pavlov's dog experiment.
Oh, yeah.
There's a part of us that responds in certain ways to stimulus too, to something that's happened. So you know, for example, if you have a friend of yours that always texts you around the same times every day,
right?
You could not be thinking about your phone or them doing anything else, and let you hear that vibration.
Yeah.
You know what kind of time of the day it is. It automatically triggers you to everything you're supposed to be catching up on. You remember what they're supposed to be calling you back about. You remember one thing that so we all have that, and getting up and sitting in that corner with the pillow to do my work every day conditions my brain for schoolwork, so to speak, right? So whatever that is for your house, whatever that looks like, that's what we want to kind of condition, because if not, you'll have this big one mishmash of existing where you're eating, living, working, stopping, not stopping, all over the place, and you never feel like you're out of anything, right? At this time. So it's really important to have those delineations.
I love the fact you said you never feel like you're out of anything.
Yes.
I love that. You never feel like you're out of anything. Yeah. Wow. Now, and here's another question I have too, because socially, that was one concern. Prior to this, my daughter and I had discussed, because she's a singer and actress, and she's amazing. And so we talked about homeschooling, and one of my concerns or reservations was, and it was a slight reservation, but the social aspect of it. I still wanted her to learn those skills. So, I mean, are you encouraging your kids now before be like, get off the phone, get off? No, and now it's like, all right, 5 o'clock, maybe you should call your friend and get on the phone.
So, okay, all right. So at first I was going to say no, right? I was going to be like, no, it's fun.
Yeah.
This morning, my 2 daughters came up to me talking my head off, right? So this is like 7:50 in the morning, right? I try to do my little fitness block for myself real early, right? And 7:50 is not even real early, but I got a late start. So they came and they're like, it's time to talk to dad. Elethia, they trying to tell me about if I let them order off of Amazon this hair, they know how to add hair to the hair, and they show me with ribbons that they can do it and braid. I'm like, I don't care about any of it. And they're like, Dad, you got to support us. I'm like, listen, y'all need to call your little cousins, your grandmama, because And he was like, well, you got to order a credit card. I was like, how much is it? It was like, it's such and such. I was like, cool, bet. He was like, but we want to tell you. Y'all need to call somebody. Listen, y'all better call Tyrone. You better call somebody that care for real. So yes, it's important because, Elethia, social isolation, it's going to sound crazy. Isolation, not just social isolation, but isolating the human is the worst punishment to do to a human. I'm going to show you what I mean. Mm-hmm. For schools and for some households, little child gets in trouble, they go to timeout. They got to sit over there. They got to cool down, right? Fast forward, you get in trouble in sports and games, you got to come out the game, right? You're removed from from participating. Yeah. Outside of the athletic world, you're a grown up, you do something that gets you in trouble, we remove you, isolate you from broader society, right? So now you're incarcerated. You're incarcerated and you still do stuff, we throw you in a hole.
Yes.
Further isolate you. The ultimate form of isolation is separating them from life itself. So isolation is so much bigger than just staying in the house. It has impact on psyches, on emotions, on wellness, on mental state. People that live by themselves for a long time, we hear about they develop different habits. That is what we may call antisocial, which doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just against what we would normally do. Like we would normally do this and you're doing it this way. That's the antisocial. And there was a study done, children of the professors at an Ivy League institution. And it was a longitudinal study, which means they tracked them from the time they was real little kids till they became adults. And what they found is these are all smart kids from good homes. So socioeconomically, nature, nurture, they come from the same type of places. The ones who did better in life, less diseases, less ailments, reported better happiness, and those sort of things, even their access to wealth that they were retaining, were the ones that in their report, the correlation was people that had high quality relationships. So not genetic this, not predisposed that. The ones who had quality relationships did better in life. And such a oneness and community is such a big thing. So it's important during this time to figure out, how do I stay socially responsible, right, yet maintain hold to my humanity? Because if not, when we come out of this, we're going to be some different folks. Right. And so, yes, it's important to encourage our young ones, your daughter, my daughters, to stay connected in the ways that help them. And it's important for us to also connect with them too. Yeah. Me. Hold on, let me talk to me for a second. It's important.
With a mirror.
It's important to not just push them to talk to others. It's good to get breaks. That's what I felt I was doing this morning. Yeah. But it's good to also have folks like me and you and others in our circles that can remind us on a peer-to-peer level to be as present, to build those relationships so that it's something there that they're getting as well. Yeah, I think it's absolutely important. How's that been working for you guys?
Well, yeah, she does. Prior to that, Taylor, she's not the type to have like a big group of friends around her. That was definitely more me when I was growing up. But so I think I do encourage it, and I think she hears me. She's listening. I think part of it is like, I don't have to deal with any of that, because some of the social issues that she has to deal with as well. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I almost decided to take her to homeschool her. Yeah, her sensitivity to it, and her being the only child. And sometimes when you have other siblings, they kind of make you predisposed to a lot of those things that you're going to encounter. And so I have been encouraging her. At the same time, I want what's natural to her to be what she does. Yeah. As long as she has a healthy mental state as a parent, that's what's most important to me.
That is that. So you just talked about something, Elethia, that I hope we could touch on. Please. And that is being flexible and responsive to the cues that we see, right? So let me give an example, right? having a kid that needs a different levels of connection with friends, that's good to know because it doesn't look the same for everybody. But also even in our doing the structured scheduling of our day, right? Just trying to get a hold to things. Sometimes it's good to pay attention to that naturally, right? Because yes, we have spirit and soul, we have personality and mind, but we also have a part of us that eats food, right? That goes to sleep. We have a natural part of us. Well, on a very natural level, rainy, gloomy, overcast days makes a kid sleepy. It makes a worker sleepy. It makes an adult kind of just want to have fluffy socks and some Netflix. And it's okay to balance that. I'm not saying just throw your life away into bonbons and ice cream, right? But what I am saying is if you have a morning where you know it's harder to get up, something that I was guilty of, right?
Yeah.
So let me talk about myself again.
Here's the mirror.
QGirl. I don't want y'all mirror. But something that I found myself struggling with or guilty of is I gave myself so much leeway to get up. Like I knew I wanted to get up about 5:30 or so. I ain't really getting up till about 6 o'clock, 6:02, 6:08. I go to my kids' room. They need to get up now. Like, come on. We got no 20, 15, 30 minute wake yourself up. I know y'all hear my voice. It's so it's so insensitive. And it's hypocritical. Because Lord knows for 25 minutes before I came in here, I was laying in bed like I know I need to get up, but I don't feel like it. All right, I'm about to get, all right. And so just kind of being more intentional, more mindful about the fact that brighter days help people feel brighter. It's a reason why those words are cross-utilized. That overcast days make people want to kind of huddle up a little bit. And so maybe we cut the work block shorter. Okay. Maybe instead of going 2-3 hours to sit in front of one screen, maybe we do 45, 50 minutes. Maybe we have nap times. Now, a true nap time works much better with a book than a phone.
Yes.
Right. But yeah, just kind of being sensitive and responsive to those things. Because I think a lot of times we fall into two categories, Elethia, most of us. Most of us either are very rigid by the book. This is what needs to be done. This is what will be done. And we go through that and we hold ourselves accountable. We feel bad when we fall short. There's a tension in our house. There's a tension in our workspace. We never feel like we fully achieve. We're always feeling like we're striving to do. We collapse into sleep as opposed to resting because our bodies are just done. So that's one extreme. And then the other extreme is, in our life, in our relationships, and our productivity look like that. And so it's important to strike that balance for whatever that means for you. This COVID-19 time might be a time for you to breathe. And take a moment to connect with yourself and others. And for some of us, this COVID-19 experience might be the time to be like, okay, now you got space. Now you got opportunity. You got your unemployment check coming in. You just got your stimulus check that just hit. Now that you have these things, now what? So it's important just to kind of be in tune. I believe it's important to be in tune with what that need is in those moments.
Absolutely, and be in tuned in it with the kids as well.
Yeah.
Keep it real. The realities of issues that sometimes, yes. So I wanted to talk about that, and we just pretty much you gave an overview of that, or we went in depth. Yeah. But the realities of the issues that sometimes present with the new format. Also, something else we didn't mention, but just being a business owner, entrepreneur, and, the right time for me is like now. And I know a lot of people say, well, how can, sometimes you just got to sit still. And I do believe there are moments you have to sit still. I also feel like as an entrepreneur, the right time is like now. You're always on. So.
Especially because for us, for entrepreneurs, we're not going to get no paycheck in 2 weeks, right? Right. That's not our lifestyle. We have a bunch of benefits to being an entrepreneur. Right. One of them is not rain or shine. You just get this direct deposit every 2 weeks unless you pre-work that, preset that up.
Right.
So really kind of balancing this. I wish that we could speak live to some folks because I would love to hear about some of the. You say what?
Torsky is on. I wish I could get Torsky on the line because she.
What up, Toy?
I know, right, Toy? I wish I could get Toy on the line. Toy, reach out, call me, do something, because I do want to talk to you about this. And I love getting the different perspectives from different parents.
Yes, absolutely.
Out. And I know Toy has her kids as well. I think they're older though. I'm not sure if they're in college yet, but
she has two. She has two, right?
She has two, right? Yeah. So we are talking about Toy's business, but I know
don't she live?
Right? Yeah. She teaches sanity. So, but thank you. Now I wanted to, because it's getting late, 2:38. Okay. So some solutions, because we are going to do this. I'm trying to do this as a series the next 3 weeks.
Yes.
But some of the solutions, you gave very good solutions. And I always like for people to have a takeaway when they visit the QGirl page. So do you want me to go through those or do you have them in front of you?
I have them in front of you. Feel free to read them because I've been talking a lot and I have one that I want to highlight on. But yeah, feel free.
Okay.
Let me hear your voice.
All right. Daily schedule blocks.
Yes.
Love.
Yeah.
It seems like common sense, but it's so important.
You miss it sometimes.
Yes. And that's some type of normalcy too for kids who they had lunch period, they had gym, etc. So keeping them on track. The beauty of breaks.
Yes. And taking those days off.
Yes.
But you have to earn them.
Yes.
So breaks means you're stopping something, activity, productivity, hopefully. But yeah, the balance there, right? Yes.
You know something now? The brain is going to take a break whether you get up from the table or not, whether your parents excuse you or not. Your brain is going to take a break.
Real. And they check out.
Yes.
We fuss at the kids or we fuss at ourselves as entrepreneurs because our brain has checked out because we haven't given ourselves permission to have the break. You know, I was driving. I oversee a team of. I help to oversee a team of essential employees, and I was driving the other day to go check on them, and I was tired, but I wasn't. I was sleepy and like fall asleep behind the wheel, sleeping. I was trying my best to stay awake, and I was praying like, please let me just do. I had the windows down. I had food in my car. Started eating food, like whatever I need to do just to kind of stay up.
Right.
But that whole, like your brain will check you out if you don't, that is so real. And it's much more responsible as entrepreneurs, as parents, as individuals to get ahead of it and put them in place so that you have something that you work towards as opposed to letting your body shut down or get sick or you hurt something because you're not properly balanced in your intake. But yeah, that's important. Thank you for bringing that one up.
Absolutely. Tag team efforts. Explain that.
That's the one I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
So, I have a buddy of mine who's a male educator in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And he has like 2 or 3 advanced math degrees because he's crazy. He's crazy, that's why. But I was talking to him the other day and it never occurred to me this whole time. He's a friend of the family. Hop on a video call with him, kid, when you got a math problem. Because some of this stuff I ain't seen it forever and I may not know it. And that's probably so true for so many of us. There's probably some folks that can talk sense into our kids' heads that when they tired of hearing us, tag team those efforts. It's probably some folks that can break down a concept that we know, speakerphone, speed dial, whatever it is, that we can tap into. So realizing that we still have an ability to be connected and offload some of that stuff, And so if I can't get myself motivated, but if I can just pull up my screen and watch you work out, maybe if all I'm doing is this, go girl, okay, do it, because I'm fit, right? But that's it's something, and something is better than nothing. So figuring out who in our circle can we bond with to tag team some of these efforts is really important during a time like this.
I like that. That reminds me of It Takes a Village.
Yeah, same concept.
Yes. And Torsky said 3, the youngest is 17.
We love it without joining us.
Going with the flow.
Yeah.
The other one.
Yeah, that's part of what I was just talking about, just realizing on some days are going to look or feel a little bit different. Some days I might feel different, you might feel different. And it's okay to acknowledge that. Not that we want to give a pity party for folks' moodiness or attitudes, but just honoring the fact that things work in ebbs and flow. And every wave that comes in doesn't splash as far as the other waves. Sometimes it just hits a little bit further back, and some come way in, but it's still a part of that same system and cycle. So just really honoring the reality of how we work. Like some stuff ain't a problem if we don't make it be a problem. Some stuff can just be normal in how folks interact, but we got to look for that, as opposed to just going about our days, our weeks, our months on autopilot and not giving truth to power.
Amen. Wow. The other one was acknowledge the truth. This is all new for all of us everywhere. So breathe, smile, and be patient.
And be patient. It is hard. So I was a psych major, right? I was a neuroscience major for a little bit, and I was a psychology major. So this is why sometimes I say unnecessarily brainy stuff that's like, really, dude, can you stick to the point? So physically,
come on.
You say, all right, fine. So when you smile, right, physiologically, it's tougher. Now, I don't quite get this, right? This cognitive brain-mind connection. Folks still trying to figure this out. How does your intangible mind connect with your meat tissue brain? I don't know all that, right? Folks everywhere still doing research on that. It is what it is. We just know that it happens. There's a connection between yourself and your physical body. Well, it is tough to give an honest compliment. I mean, when you're smiling, it colors how you phrase your next stuff. So I don't mean when you're not genuinely smiling and you're like, you know what, I can't stand you. Not that phony stuff, right? Not like that. I mean, when you're genuinely smiling, there's something that happens cognitively that frames how you phrase things. It phrases how they hear. So you could be talking on the phone with somebody, not seeing them, and you can tell that they're smiling. You can tell that something you said made them happy, even if you don't hear an audible laugh. Right? So we have those cues. And so breathe, smile, and be patient. I think the biggest part of that is smiling. Sometimes it's awkward to see people outside or whatever, but the simple act of smiling, there's something in our brains called mirror neurons, which means if I see you do this, I do it. If I see you run, something in me wants to run. If you yawn, more than likely, I'm next to you, I see you yawn, I yawn too. Those are called mirror neurons. If you come into the room with a bad attitude, I don't even know what's up. My defenses are up. I'm kind of in a bad, I ain't happy. You come in here huffy, those are called mirror neurons. One of the best ways to make this whole experience easier, don't cost nothing. And that's simply intentionally smiling. It creates an atmosphere. We all could do it.
Wow. What about, would you suggest taking a walk?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just adding that. Yes. If you can't smile, you're just that heated, or there's that much tension.
Walk.
Let's go for a walk. And the last one is time for self, adding value by taking care of you, self-care.
So you can't give what you don't have, right? As much as I may want to give somebody $5, if I don't have 5 singles in my pocket or a $5 bill, I can't give it to them. If I want to give calmness in my house, if I want to give good work ethic, if I want to give a sense of getting things done and being accomplished, if I want somebody that I'm connected to do a better job of demonstrating good relationship with whomever, however, whatever that looks like, if I'm not doing that for me, if I don't have those habits myself, if I'm not practicing them and trying to become different and better, we're falling short. So self-care is so important.
Right.
Get off your phone. You can't eat while you on the phone. Meanwhile, I'm like this. Y'all need to get off your phone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, but it works all the way around. And it's so important to also take the time to drink water, to breathe, to take your walks, to let folks that you know hear you have healthy discourse with positive people, so that when you talk to them about their friends, right, or whatever, they have something. You only can give what you have. So that taking care of that self is so important. You know, but Elethia,
I was just going to say the whole fitness, you know, and I'm strategic in the time that I chose to teach these classes, 6 p.m.
mm-hmm.
And while they're, you know, everyone's like, well, there's so much competition. There's somebody, I don't see it as competition.
Mm-hmm.
We're all servicing, you know,
yeah.
So this kickboxing tonight may not be for you. Go ahead and do some yoga, but do something. And I wanted to add, again, that normalcy where normally you go to the gym and you may take spin on strength class around 5:30, 5:45.
Mm-hmm.
Here you are, you have a strength class right there in your living room. And my goal is to give you the same quality as if you were in a fitness center. And at the same time, that sense of community and that personalization. So I'm acknowledging people. I took it up. That's one of the reasons why I took it off of Facebook Live, because I wanted your self-care moment to be all about you. So I want to be able to say, Rodney, go ahead, man, rock it out. I see you. I know you're tired, man, but push through. You got this. It's not just a script that I'm reciting in my heart. That's what it's telling me at the time. Rodney needs you to encourage him. He needs you to tell him that he got this, because this is your moment of self-care, and your most precious commodity is your time. And I don't take that for granted. So.
Elethia, how'd you get into the fitness from what we used to do?
Oh boy, that's a whole other conversation. Oh boy,
one day I would love to do it.
Yeah, I would say the thing that encouraged me was seeing my mother, 3-time cancer survivor, and watching her in the living room at 30 Buchanan Place in the Bronx, getting her exercise on and seeing her cure herself through fitness.
Oh my goodness, that's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, and she's amazing. So Rodney, thank you so much. We gave them some takeaways. I'm not going to post this right away. I'll probably leave it up for another 24 hours. I'm going to pull it because I got to put this on my, I'm starting remember we said that before speaking? So on my YouTube channel, I want this up here because this is extremely valuable. And I also want to be able to post the points as well.
Yes, absolutely. Feel free. I normally charge $75,000.
Okay.
For my.
Okay, from here, like there. Okay. All right.
Feel free. Share the
and then also tell them about the book.
Oh, snap. I'm trying to see if I even, so I don't know if I have a copy. Is this backwards? Can you see this?
No, it's the right. Yeah, it's right. It's correct.
So my original book is called Get Off the Cycle and Run, right? Let me see. Oh, there it is, right? And it's much smaller. It's an extended analogy of, so on the front of the book, on the other book, it says, if you can understand how a bike works, you can understand how life works, right? There's things and systems that repeat in our life that very much are represented in a bicycle that we've seen since we was little kids. And so sometimes it's easier to understand those kind of concepts and then apply them than it is to figure out why my boyfriend, why my grandma, why I don't like my sister type thing, right? So that book is about better relationships, better decision-making, better choices. Well, somebody was talking to me and was like, I want to kind of I want to work through some of this stuff. Like, I like the book, but I want to work through. So this is a workbook. And it's called Get Off the Cycle and Work. Okay. And it's the workbook companion for Get Off the Cycle and Run. So this stuff is on Amazon, and it has all kind of stuff, charts and graphs and coloring opportunities and word search, and all of this stuff came out of my little old brain. This was literally me sitting down and thinking and writing and pulling. I felt inspired to do it. So it was actually fun, I must admit. It got stuck in some points, but overall, it felt great to deliver it. Yeah. How about me and you work together? And if anybody say they want one that comes you, let's give them a discount. Let's do that.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I'll put that in the show notes for a little bit of time it's posted. And then I'll also I'll have it as a post. So send me a copy of the book, just the cover alone.
Okay.
And I'm sure people are going to find a lot of value in it because you have years of experience of working with kids and their parents, even in politics as well. So yeah, reputable source right here. Rodney, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to next week. I'll release those topics shortly. This was just a free flow, and I just thank you for being part of it. 6 p.m. tonight, we have Kickboxing Live with Devon Livingston from New York. He travels across the United States giving classes. He is so dope. He studies under Eric. Oh, I can't think of. He's a motivational speaker. Eric Thomas. Yes, he studies under Eric Thomas. He's just an amazing dude. So if you have time, chime in. But it should be great. And then we have tomorrow's class at 6 p.m. And then we have Saturday, 8:30, and mimosas and stretching. I'm gonna become a QGirl. I'm just gonna become a QGirl. And everyone's invited. Everyone is invited. So I lift them heavyweights just like anybody else. So, oh wow. Yeah. All right, baby. I love you. Thank you. All right. Talk to you later. Have a glorious day, man.